When you kill one, it is a tragedy. When you kill 10 million, it is a statistic. They call me killer, but I live only to serve the people. And the people's history will judge me. Where the Romans failed, I will succeed. Russia's borders will stretch from coast to coast, for a united Russia is our destiny. Those lands were taken away by corrupt Tsarist diplomats and criminal military officers. They were the enemies of the people. But enough of this. You have served me well. Continue to do so, and your future is as bright as the star of the Soviet Union. As a reward for your service to the people, I wish to promote you. Your first order as field captain is to proceed to Khalkis Island. We need the ore there for a special project. In addition, we need to capture the Allied Communications Center. We must know what those Allied dogs are up to. Godspeed. Do what you must for the people.
Welcome back, Commander. I think I should state right now, this is probably, just with my own memories of way back when, this is probably the mission I hated the most. You know, time limits, whatever, I can deal with. Dark Horseman, you know, all that stuff, like, that's peanuts. This mission specifically, I always hated. I like to think there's a pretty good reason for it. One of them, namely, being that I never really bothered saving during a mission as a kid. There was something about, like, earlier missions where it's like you could just beat them, you know, in a, I guess, regular amount of time. Although, granted, I did play on, like, the easier difficulty, so units always moved super slow. So you get to a point where you've put, like, you know, 2 hours into a mission just because everything is slow. Well, this tasks us with capturing a radar dome. And I think even as a kid, I resented the fact that you needed to damage a building before you could capture it. Like, my brain as a kid was just like, this doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't it just, you know, happen automatically as a one-time use? So, well, you know, I'll mention specifically, like, where this problem creeps up. But in the meantime, you know, we're given view of the base, which is nice. And there's a mention of an island, so you're kind of a fool not to get some air power. I will admit, it's been a while since I played this. Not that it's really spoilers, but I've already beaten this entire campaign and Aftermath, and Counter-Strike. So this isn't, like, particularly fresh, but there will be some interesting interactions, I guess we'll say. I also had to play this like 3 times because, you know, stuff kind of messed up once or twice. So this is the middle island.
Mission saved.
It's actually rather large. Like, it takes a huge portion of the map. And it kind of gets the player to envision how they're going to get across water obstacles.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
It doesn't come up too often, which I guess is kind of a shame. Like, I think the only one that was ever mandatory for the Allies was... I think that was the naval one, where we had to clear the path. Oh, and never mind, there's Kosigan when we had to go rescue him.
Select target.
Yes, sir.
That was also a water mandatory level.
Unit ready. Building. Unit lost.
Awaiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Yes, sir. Very well. Yes, sir. Ready. Yes, sir.
Unit
Wait
ready.
at once.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. At once.
Now, I want to say that, you know, there's a complicated series of triggers that apply and so on. We'll see why exactly I mentioned that sort of thing.
Target.
Again, going with the paratroopers and how it spawns to the closest reference point off map, it's really useful to do stuff like, oh hey, the Allies are moving a mobile construction vehicle
Silos.
most likely to the island. Oh, and I'm given one too.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. At once. Yes, sir.
Construction
Waiting order.
Obviously, the entire point of the mobile construction vehicle given to you is so that you can get to this island and have a base. Oh, and I guess... See, I don't know what it is specifically. I assume that it has something crazy to do with the fact that since a mobile construction vehicle isn't a construction yard, it doesn't have the same triggers that would have everybody go after you. I don't know. It just... And that's no joke. Like, if you kill that mobile construction vehicle, the Allies don't get a third one. There's no means of reproducing one in the campaign, so that's it. You've basically shortened this map by, I don't know, depending on if you're, what difficulty you're on and so on, how good you are, at least like 15 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Because now it's just a matter of taking out this piddly base that has nothing really to offer a defense. Only problem though is that it does state that we have to secure the middle island, which means if there's any units on there, we have to take them out. And sadly, the paratroopers can only do so much.
Waiting orders. Waiting order. Waiting order. Yes, sir.
And because we've already seen multiple times that the Allies always, well, I shouldn't say the Allies, but, you know, the AI always tends to have quite a bit of money and stuff set aside. So, you can probably imagine that there'd be a nice steady flowing base right here, construction yard, power plants, barracks, refineries, the works. Oh, and that's a mine layer trying to be a nuisance. Sometimes subs really suck. Oh, and I don't know what the interval is, but yes, the Allies do get reinforcements from that road up north. Like, I can't remember if the units ever change or like what the set times are for it. Something tells me that it's something along the lines of like it'll be, you know, a couple light tanks and the artillery that we saw, and then it'll swap over to heavy tank, or not heavy tanks, but medium tanks at one point, and so on. And yeah, to prevent you from actually capturing this successfully, the Allies get a nice APC filled with engineers.
Select target. Select target. Reinforcements active.
It's actually one of the like few times that the AI ever gets that sort of assistance.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Building. Unit lost.
Man, I seem to recall something in the guide talking about this.
Unit lost. Training. Unit ready. Primary buildings. Unit lost.
Hmm.
Base is under attack. Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Spy plane.
By the way, that's like an automatic thing. If that base ever loses its construction yard and refinery, it just auto sells everything, which is rather annoying because I wanted to capture the naval yard.
First objective met. Building. Construction complete.
Oh well, I can just build my own at least.
Building selected.
Sadly, you only unlock gunboats though. I was hoping to get destroyers. They're much nicer to take care of, say, medium tanks on an island, just hanging around. Sadly, we also don't have access to MiGs, so we don't have that nice little air power that can easily take out Allied armor. So basically what kept pissing me off whenever I was a kid is that, you know, you don't have the best reactions, you don't make the smartest decisions, so you'd end up doing stuff like, oh, I don't know, telling your units to attack and then forget that they're attacking the radar dome. Like, you're just too busy checking something else, so the radar dome, you know, explodes. And since you haven't saved, there goes, 20 minutes of progress. Then you play it again and try to do it and not explode stuff, and, in some chaotic attack, you lose all your units, so you have to restart because you don't have a attacking force anymore.
Naval unit lost.
It was a bad time.
Construction complete.
Awaiting
Spy
orders.
plane
Acknowledged.
ready. Unit ready. Select target.
Ready and wait. Affirmative. At once. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Agreed. Reporting. Waiting. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. At once. Yes, sir. Reporting. At once. Very well. Ready? Yes, sir. Reporting. Very well. At once. Yes, sir.
It should be noted that on top of the whole, you have to capture the radar dome, you have to eliminate all the enemy units, since you have to get onto this middle island, the viewer will notice that there's no actual place to get a transport to to be loaded up unless you get to this radar dome area. So no matter what, you're forced to basically go here. Like if you want to build, that is, or transport anybody to the middle of the map. And since I'm not really waiting on anything anymore, because, you know, for all intents and purposes, the mission's over. It's just about cleaning up. I was trying to get the subs to target the ground. Unfortunately, they don't seem to be able to do so. There is a, I don't want to say a rare case of that being possible, but we'll see it in a future video.
Construction complete. Primary building selected. Building.
Yes, sir. Waiting for
Unit ready.
Yes, acknowledged.
Select target. Strike range ready. Select target. Building.
Reporting lead. At once. Ready and waiting once. Ready and
Unit
once.
ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting once. Agreed. Very well.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In a way, it's a little interesting that the briefing and cutscene is all about, you know, oh, the ore here is very special, blah, blah, blah. We need it for the Soviet war effort. There's nothing that ever, like, proves that that's necessary.
Acknowledged.
Like, there's a couple gems here and there, but, you know, you never see... It's not like we're seeing
Acknowledged.
the start of Tiberium or anything. Like, you can't, you know, look at the map, there's nothing there, right?
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
It's not like, you know, any of this has, like, radioactive properties. There's no,
Select target.
there's nothing that, like, harms your units, anything like that, so... From a gameplay perspective, it's just, I guess, interesting that there's nothing to represent that change.
Reporting. Ready and waiting. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, affirmative. Acknowledged. Ready and waiting once. Course. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting at once. Waiting for affirmative. Yes, I will. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. Reporting. Course.
Second objective met. Mission accomplished.